So being told, as warned in recent shows about the vaping, Walmart stepped out last Friday and said it will stop selling electronic cigarettes at its namesake stores, and Sam's Club following a string of alleged mysterious illnesses and deaths that are now related to vaping. Told you what was coming next. They're going to ban the whole lot of it. And the nation's largest retailer, which is based in Bentonville, Arkansas, said that it will complete its exit from e-cigarettes after selling through its current inventory. They make sure they get their own money back first. You know, if they're that really interested in people's health, they would ban it straight away. No, they're going to carry on selling it first. So, obviously, it's not a health concern, is it? Because if it's such a health concern, it would go off the shelves today. You know, not after they sold the current inventory. Shut that back door. The move is due to growing federal, state and local regulatory complexity, it says, regarding vaping products. And the company said in a statement, President Donald Trump has proposed a federal ban on flavoured e-cigarettes and vaping products. No surprise. Following what was mentioned about Belize, and you already know what's going on in Venezuela and several other Central American countries, the government of Guatemala this week has declared a state of emergency that temporarily suspends some rights in parts of the country's north after it is alleged suspected drug traffickers killed 3 members of a military patrol. Fairly radical and over the top there. And the state of emergency will be applied in various townships in the provinces of Izabal, Zacapa, El Progreso, Petén and Alta Verapaz, and the decree suspends for 30 days the rights of assembly, transit, the right to carry arms and constitutional guarantees against arrest without a warrant. That sounds like a coup to me. And Guatemala's president said Wednesday that drug traffickers were behind the violence. So 3 people get killed and about 7 provinces lose all their rights. That makes sense? No, me either. Now, the military unit had been tracking an apparent drug flight from the ground when it was attacked. This will come up in a future show, and but it shows further warnings that we've put in previously, and who is involved in it as well. But at least a dozen Iranian students who are set to begin graduate programs in engineering and computer science say their visas were abruptly cancelled and they were barred from flights to the United States this month. But the students, most of whom were headed to schools in the University of California system, say their visas were revoked at the last minute without any warning or explanation. Most were prevented from boarding flights in Iran, and others from boarding connecting flights in the Persian Gulf, and 1 person was detained at Boston Logan Airport and then turned back. Now, I hope this was done for the right reasons. I suspect not, and it's more of the stupid oil game war that benefits no one except the select few. Well, a lot of these foreign students, it doesn't matter which country they come from, are used in spy in and spy on tools and used as stooges for the CIA in their education for information game. And that's gone on since the 1950s, where CIA agents go into a country, make offers or threats to young people to become spies, and get various kickbacks for doing so. I'll go deeper into that in a future show. A petition to remove All Lives Matter, which is as a decal from the rear quarter panels of 2 Frankton, Indiana Police Department vehicles, has resulted in the department agreeing to take them off, following complaints that the decals demean the Black Lives Matter movement. Do people think before they speak? Clearly not. Now, the petition was started by Franklin resident Molly Hobbs, who posted her reasoning for removing the decals from police vehicles on change.org, and the goal of the petition is to get the Frankton, Indiana Police to remove All Lives Matter from their patrol vehicles. Oh dear. Now, for those of you who don't know, Frankton, Indiana is a small farming town in the Midwest with not much diversity, and All Lives Matter was placed on the vehicles during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement. And BLM brings attention to injustices against people of colour, mostly committed by police officers, according to their spokesperson. And the All Lives Matter group was created to silence and villainize people of colour's fight for justice, according to the spokesman for All Lives, against All Lives Matter. And this controversial slogan does not belong on the vehicles of those meant to protect and serve. I believe the slogan on the vehicles can give the wrong impression of the town, and I also believe removing this slogan will increase diversity and help diminish the negative racist stereotypes that rural Midwest towns receive. Really. Personally, I believe Molly Hobbs needs to be arrested for stereotyping and racism based on only one colour of people's lives matter. That's essentially what she's saying. And also wasting police and public time. Israeli Arab lawmakers have recommended that the former army chief Benny Gantz should become prime minister. I think certain overreaching elements, shall we say, in Israel have decided that despite losing the vote, Netanyahu will carry on as it stands. And last week's election put the incumbent leader Benjamin Netanyahu neck and neck with Mr. Gantz. No, he's not. He got less votes. And the two are now vying to build a governing coalition, which is a convenient term for let's delay things when things don't go our way. A bit like what's going on in America and Britain at the moment. Now, Joint List, the bloc of Arab parties that came in third, says it wants to oust Mr. Netanyahu from power. And this is the first time since 1992 that an Arab political group has issued an endorsement for the Prime Minister. And this was Israel's second general election this year, after the first in April. Coalition talks fell apart and a snap poll was cancelled, and that's what's going to happen with this one also, and there'll be a third, and meanwhile Nutty stays in charge. That's how it works. There was a report this week. Earth's magnetic field, the basis for modern global navigation systems, is constantly in some state of flux, according to the report. However, it now seems to be going haywire, pushing the North Pole closer to Siberia, and no one's sure why, according to the report. The field changes as the molten metals surrounding the Earth's solid iron core churn and flow, they say, creating electric currents and a corresponding magnetic field. As a result, the magnetic poles tend to shift slightly as a matter of course. However, researchers don't know what's causing the magnetic field to now move so quickly. The magnetic North Pole sped across the international dateline last year at a rate of 55 kilometres per year. Oops. 3 times faster than it moved in the mid-1990s. And now it's located in the Eastern Hemisphere. It's moving away from Canada and approaching Siberia. I wonder why. GHI listeners will know why, as we've been warning of it. So that's a nice little confirm there. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Tuesday announced a formal impeachment inquiry, no surprise there, into Donald Trump, which was quite a turnaround by the Democratic leader that sets up a constitutional and political clash which will pit the Congress against the nation's chief executive. And Pelosi said the actions of Trump presidency have revealed the dishonourable fact of the president's betrayal of his oath of office, betrayal of our national security, and betrayal of the integrity of our elections. Pelosi said that. Yes, again, an example of accusing others of doing what they do. It's coming all so common that not only in political fields, in media fields and alt media. So she said, therefore today I'm announcing the House of Representatives is moving forward with an official impeachment inquiry. Now, impeachment, for those outside of the US, is a rare and extraordinary first step that could lead to overturning the decision of US voters in 2016 to elect Trump. Now, in the backdrop of this, there was a poll in the past week that said 55% of Americans would support impeachment if it was confirmed that President Trump suspended military aid to the Ukraine in order to push the country's officials to investigate Mr. Biden. The gist of all this is it's all too predictable amount of distraction, and this is why this show has largely tried to, anyway, move away from politics. It's all BS, staged and drama-laden environment where no one acts on anything or discusses what they're supposed to do, like the policies. Does anyone debate the policies anymore? No. It's all about drama. You know, for me, they can impeach the whole lot of them, as all of them as a dereliction of duty to this country and its people. None of them discuss policies. It's all he said, she said, drama, investigations, anything but discuss the policies. And therein lies the problem. Now, the question is not whether Trump asked for dirt on Biden. The question is, why haven't the military, Pentagon, CIA, FBI, NSA, and the Department of Homeland Security not investigated whether Biden was a national security risk in the Ukraine? Oops. It's funny that you can find all kinds of misdemeanors in the alt media about Biden and his son, and yet the aforementioned groups do or say nothing. That's the real crime here. 6 or 7 major agencies, and not one of them's investigating on the grounds of national security, including Pelosi. Why isn't Pelosi, as the leader of the Democrats, investigated Biden as a potential national security risk and also a potential damaging aspect to her own party? No, it's all about covering up, you see. And the same distraction tactics are being used in the UK, from Brexit to now let's investigate the Prime Minister and who he goes on trips with, and whether he's sleeping with her or not. Who cares? Like I said 3 years ago, it's all a distraction. Brexit. Johnson, May and Cameron, none of them with a problem. It's the system, and too often people buy into it. And amidst all the noise of suspending Parliament in the UK for a few weeks over Brexit, and they're not allowed, they won't be able to discuss it for a month or so. What has been lost is the same people that wail, oh, we can't discuss Brexit for a month. I've had since April 2016 to make a plan, deal or decision, and failed. And no one's asking that. Why? What difference is an extra 3 or 4 weeks going to make from near 3.5 years? They're not going to come up with a plan because they never meant to come up with a plan. This is what people have to get about politics. It's fake. Something to ponder on in next year's elections in America. Trump will be 74. Biden will be aged 77. Warren 71. Sanders 79 and Pelosi 80. Should that age group be representing the country at the highest levels? '74, '77, '71, '79 and 80. President Jair Bolsonaro has insisted that the Brazilian areas of the Amazon rainforest are sovereign territory. It's not the only time the word sovereign was mentioned this week. Mr. Trump did it in the UN. And conservationists blame Mr. Bolsonaro and his government for turning a blind eye to farmers and loggers clearing the land in the Amazon, which is hastening deforestation. And he said it was a fallacy to describe the Amazon as the heritage of humanity and a misconception that its forests were the lungs of the world. He didn't say it that way when you're chopping down trees everywhere else. And Brazil is home to more than half of the Amazon rainforest. Now, I understand where they're coming from on both sides. Yet, should Mr. Bolsonaro listen to countries whose degradation in their own countries tell others what they should or shouldn't do? All kinds of countries telling Brazil, you can't do this and you can't do that. Global warming, climate change, where's all the trees? When they're not even doing it in their own countries. But one day it would be real nice if all countries shared resources and all contributed in protecting certain areas. Then we would have an adult world.